Welcome to an interview with the runner of Washington, a special one indeed. We have Danielle Hunter, Timberline High School, the number one sprinter in the 100 and the 200 this season. Unfortunately, no state meet this season. We already know that, but she's had an incredible year running 12:02 and I believe 24:46. She kindly joins us here on the runner of Washington. Danielle, how are we doing?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
For sure. Danielle, this is new for me with sprinters this year, and I did the same thing with Alyssa Cullen when I interviewed her. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I was born in Germany, and my family, we would move back and forth from the States to Germany. And all throughout elementary school and throughout middle school, I have not even cared about sports whatsoever. I was always like a drama girl. I liked writing. I was in choir, and I never paid mind to any sports, period, which was something because my little brother, Terrell, he's a freshman now. He played basketball, he played football, he played soccer. He was all about sports. And since I was little, my dad's like, Danielle, you're fast. Because when I would, just race, we play tag or whatever. I guess he saw that I was fast. He's like, you should do track. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I no, I'm good. Let me write, let me read, And then finally freshman year came, and again, my dad was like, Danielle, you should do track. You're fast. And finally, I was like, okay, it's freshman year. I'm in high school, let's try new things. And so that's where it all started.
Kind of talk about so you start your first high school was in Korea. Talk about that experience living in Korea and what like Korea high school sports are like.
So freshman year probably is my favorite year of high school. Since we lived on base, I mean, everybody, spoke English. So it was off base, which you could actually like get that Korean culture. But it was it was different than in the States. I would say America is a lot more competitive. So moving was like it's like kind of a whole different world. But I really did like Korea. It was really fun.
And so you talked about your dad being part of the military, U.S. Army. What was it like living in? Of course, you were born in Germany, but you've been probably all sorts of places around the world.
That it requires a lot of adapting because I've been to so many different schools, but I've met a lot of different people. I've learned a lot of different cultures. I've been on, three different track teams. It's just, I think, I think it's quite, I think it's really good. Like not everybody has the opportunity to run in Korea and in the States and in Japan. So, I mean, it has its sacrifices, but in the end, I think it's all worth it.
What did you learn about yourself in your first ever season running in track?
That track could be something for me. And I owe it all to my dad because I wouldn't be doing it for him. But I've met so many people. I don't know. I knew it was something that I could do more and I could see myself doing in the future.
All right, so you moved to Washington. You attend Clover Park High School. Really good first year, and you didn't qualify in individual events, but you qualified for a relay at state. Unfortunately, disqualified. But talk to me about that sophomore season. Obviously, running 12.69, 26.87 in the 200. Overall, is a great sophomore campaign for you.
Like I said before, the States is a lot more competitive. So in Korea, I was the in the two and in the four the fastest on my team, right? And then Far East, which is basically like it was like state, but for overseas, I won the 400. Then I moved to the States and I'm not the fastest anymore. It was really weird. It was definitely a transition. The coaches were different. I know we would have like these spaghetti feeds where the day before a meet, we would all come together as a team and we'd have spaghetti. And then I was also introduced to ice baths, which were torture. Um, I met some good friends in Clover Park, and then I had to move, but it was a nice experience.
So you go from Clover Park, obviously last spring. nothing happened. Were you still at Clover Park, or did you transfer to Timberline your junior year?
I transferred to Timberline and I did have like 2 weeks of practice with them before our season got canceled. So I never actually got to run a meet, but I was with Timberline for a little bit of my junior year.
So how did that all process for you? Obviously, everyone handles it differently, and none of us would have expected this. None of us knew that we were going to be wearing masks for the next 15 months. We were not going to be in school. We were not going to be at work. We weren't going to be able to do anything. So what was that whole process and trying to like realizing this is reality right now?
It was shocking, especially because I thought junior year was going to be the year. It was going to be like I was going to have a great season. I was going to be committed. I wanted to be committed to a college by my junior year. But since that got canceled, I don't know. It was really hard and it was stressful, but my parents, they're always there for me and they're always optimistic about it. But I tend to be an overthinker sometimes. And so I'm like, now everyone's home. We don't even have school in person anymore. But I mean, now looking back, I wish I would have relaxed a little more. But I mean, you learn. So yeah.
Did you have any opportunities to run in any unattached stuff? Because I know there was a couple of meets like down in Arizona, Texas, and California. If so, talk about those meets if they happen during the spring or summertime.
So actually, last year, summer, I ran in Vegas. It was the Junior Olympics. I ran with the club. And that was fun, especially because the season got taken away. And then now I get another opportunity. So we had about a month of like training before we flew down to Vegas. And it was hot, but it was fun.
So talk about that experience. Obviously, Junior Olympics is the best athletes, at least in club or unattached. They're coming to race in one remote location, and it's the best of the best. So what was it like running against some really good competition?
So that was actually my second year doing Junior Olympics. The first one was in California after sophomore year, and then this one was in Vegas. I think everybody was a little weirded out because everybody had to adapt. Everybody got their season taken, and then now everyone's just in Vegas, I guess, trying to make up for lost time. Um, and it wasn't, you didn't have to qualify for it. You would just be put in. So I did run the one, I ran the two, and I was in two relays, which both of our relays got first. So that was fun. And then, the girls in the team, we were all just happy to be there. We were just, I felt like I was really lucky because I thought I wasn't going to have anything, but it came and I PR'd in the two. In the one, I ran my exact time from sophomore year. So that was interesting. But I did PR. So yeah.
So how's this past fall with the training piece, not knowing if we're going to have a season at all, but fortunately we did have one this spring. So how has that process been for you and the challenges you've had to overcome these last couple of months to prepare yourself for your senior year?
So ever since July when we came back, I have just been on my own. I would literally just YouTube workouts. Like I would see, what I should run on the track, like, the squats, the lunges, anything really. And for months, I've just been doing that until the track season came. So I've just been on my own, but apparently what I've been doing worked. So I'm happy about that.
Well, clearly, if you're running the number one time in the state in the 100 and the 200, let's just talk about your senior year. And of course, no state meet. You probably could have won a state championship in one or two of these events, but I mean, undefeated season, number one times all year long. Just talk about the year in general. And was it the first race of the year you broke your school record time?
Yeah, it was only in the 100. I broke the 200 the second meet. And yeah, this year was an experience. You know, I this is actually the first year where I had to take like initiative. I would go to the track. I would already know what I wanted to do, and I would, let the coaches know, and they'd let me do it. It was a very independent mindset, especially because I was the only one who took it as seriously as I did because I had to take it that seriously. A lot of the people on our team were just freshmen who were just trying it out. Um, and the PRs that I made, I knew I was going to PR, but I didn't know they were going to be so dramatic. And we had 5 meets, but I think I did well. I think it was a really good season, even though it was shortened, but I'm just grateful we had a season period.
When you ran 12:03, when did it finally become reality to you? It's like, holy cow, did I really just do that? And I came that close to breaking 12.
I don't even think I can process that even right now. I think from 12.6 to 12.0 in a month is really good. And like, I don't even like when I run, honestly, every race feels the same. So I'm not even sure how I get faster. But at the end, I'm just really proud of myself.
So what's the mental preparation for yourself when it's meet day, or like, let's go back. It's day of the meet. You're waiting for so many hours, but then it's the meet. What's the preparation like for you on meet day?
I am incredibly nervous. I don't know why. I think again, I just overthink it. I get the jitters. I'm just, thinking about the race over and over and over again. I picture me winning. I picture that PR time on that board. And then I have my brother out there with me. So I kind of just like to distract myself from thinking about it. I don't actually become not nervous until the gun goes off. So it's basically just nerves. I worry a lot, which I wish I didn't, but I'm a worry wart. So yeah.
Hey, we all live in a world, and even I can admit this. I'm a worried wart too. So I'm in I'm in the same boat as you are for all that stuff. Because when I ran in high school, I was very scared until that gun went off, at least for running 4 laps around the track because I was a distance runner. But the whole season, you've been killing it. You're just destroying the competition. So how do you keep yourself motivated knowing that, one, you're not going to run against someone like Alyssa Cullen or Emma Pollock from Kentwood? So how do you keep yourself motivated enough to know that you're just trying out there to do your best possible?
Honestly, it was UW. That's where I was trying to go. And I had the times that I needed to get. And I would just think, I'm doing this because I've always wanted to go to UW. And I had the goal. That was my biggest motivator along with my parents. And I was just think about the future. So yeah.
So let's talk UW. You get it, not just an athletic scholarship, you get an academic scholarship as well. So you're going, pretty much college is going to be paid for you. Talk about the recruiting process and what UW saw in you and what made you decide to go run for the University of Washington.
I actually only got a academic scholarship. I walked on with UW, but I was really happy because I was talking with Coach Anderson even before the season began. I was like, hey, just to let you know, I'm really interested in being on the team. And he said, he gave me the times I need to do. He's very motivating. He's very supportive. And every single meet, I would be like, hey, I PR'd, just updating him on what I've been doing. And then there was the one meet, I don't remember which one it was. I made the walk on 200 time. And a couple of days later, Coach Anderson was like, we have a spot for you. And that was it.
So when you got that call or email, whatever it was, what was it like? What was the feeling?
It was like the planet was lifted from my shoulders because the recruiting process was going a little bit slow. I think it was because I wasn't really on the radar until like a month ago. The universities, they always just look at my academic side and not necessarily my sports too much, but it was just because I've had that 12.6 for a really long time. And then once the numbers started to go down, I was like, I was really proud. And so when I got that walk on time, I was like, yay. Basically, that's the one word that popped in my mind. Yay.
And there's been so many great girls and women that have gone on to run for the University of Washington, like Kennedy Boer, uh, Sarah Stavik, I mean, all great athletes. And you're joining an elite program that is up and coming because I think WSU has been the program, at least in Washington, for the last couple of years that's had really good sprinters. But you're going to a guy who knows his stuff, who was an All American at Washington State, who's been a professional athlete. So I think you're in good hands with the University of Washington. Last thing I want to ask you before we take off here, what's the one thing you would tell your younger self? Because obviously you weren't in the sports, you were into the arts and all that stuff. What would piece of advice that you would give your younger self now that you're in the position you're in right now?
I would probably tell her that she would be the one to believe in herself. I have doubts, of course. I've had doubts about myself. My dad's always been there to, reassure me. But this season, my season was really put into my own hands. My younger self, I've had the coaches, it's always you go to a workout, your coach tells you this and this is what you're going to do. This year, it was not really like that. I would just tell her that she can do it, and to just stop stressing so much because that's I tend to do that.
Hey, and you're doing it all. You're doing phenomenal in the 100, the 200, and school as well. And everyone should be proud of you at Timberline and in your household, all your friends, family, anyone out there that knows you should be proud of you. And from Vernon, Washington, myself, I'm proud to see that you're going to be running for the University of Washington next year. Danielle, I appreciate your time coming on here. Best of luck for the rest of the school year. Obviously, no track, no more this season, but go get that diploma and head off to Washington next fall. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.